Hyunwoo Park stood at the large window of the space station. His hands pressed against the cold glass as he watched the alien ship approach. The vessel looked like a giant crystal floating through space. Blue light pulsed inside it like a heartbeat. After 300 years of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, they finally had their answer. The space station New Seoul orbited Earth in perfect silence. Hyunwoo had been Earth's top diplomat for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Behind him, dozens of scientists and officials waited. Everyone held their breath. "Sir, they're sending a message," Annie said. So Young Kim, the head of Earth's alien life research team. Her voice shook with excitement. She had spent her whole career studying the possibility of alien life. Now that life was coming to meet them, the communication screen flickered. A shape appeared that looked like a person made of blue crystal. The being's body caught light and threw it around the room in dancing patterns. When it spoke, the words came through their computers in perfect human language. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Kelrani Empire. We come in peace and friendship." Hyunwoo stepped forward. His heart pounded, but his voice stayed calm. "Welcome, Ambassador Veltar. I am Hyunwoo Park, speaking for all humans. We are honored to meet you." The crystal being's form shifted almost like a smile. "We have watched your species for some time. You show great promise. We would like to invite you to join something wonderful, the Galactic Prosperity Coalition." Taemin Lee, Earth's military advisor, leaned closer to Hyunwoo. "Sir, this could be exactly what we hoped for," he whispered. For years, Taemin had worried about hostile aliens finding Earth. The idea of friendly first contact seemed too good to be true. Ambassador Veltar continued speaking. "The coalition includes 847 different species from across the galaxy. We share knowledge, trade, and help each other grow. No wars, no fighting, just peace and learning together." So Young Kim's eyes went wide. 847 alien species. Her mind raced with the possibilities. Think of all the science they could learn, all the questions they could answer. "What would joining mean for us?" Hyunwoo asked. "We would share our technology with you. We can help heal your planet's environment. We can teach you to travel faster between stars. We can show you how to grow food that never runs out." Veltar's crystal body pulsed brighter. "In return, you would share your knowledge and culture with us. We are always eager to learn new ways of thinking." The next few weeks passed like a dream. Kelrani ships arrived at Earth carrying amazing gifts. They brought machines that could clean the air and water. They shared medicine that could cure diseases humans had fought for centuries. Most amazing of all, they began helping humans turn Mars into a world where people could live and breathe. Ji-hoon Choi, a young engineer from Seoul, found himself working next to alien scientists every day. The Kelrani taught him how to build communication devices that could send messages across the galaxy instantly. "It's incredible," he told his family during a video call. "They've been building these things for thousands of years, but they still want to learn from us." The cultural exchange amazed everyone. Human music played in alien concert halls on distant worlds. Alien art filled museums on Earth. Children in school learned about crystal beings who lived in harmony with their environment. Adults read books about alien philosophy that talked about peace and cooperation. Hyunwoo spent most of his time in meetings with Ambassador Veltar. They planned trade agreements and cultural programs. They discussed human history and Kelrani traditions. The aliens seemed genuinely interested in learning about Earth. "Your species is quite young," Veltar said during one of their talks. "Most coalition members had been traveling space for thousands of years before they joined us. You've achieved so much in such a short time." "We've always been good at adapting," Hyunwoo replied with a smile. "Yes, I've noticed that in your historical records, though I must say, some of your early space exploration data seems incomplete. Many files appear to be missing from your databases." Hyunwoo's smile didn't change, but inside he felt a small warning. "Oh, those are probably just old territorial disputes and failed experiments. Nothing interesting for the coalition. We prefer to focus on our future, not our past mistakes." Veltar's crystal form flickered. "Of course. The future is what matters most." As months passed, the partnership grew stronger. The Kelrani helped humans build new cities on Mars. Red soil became green fields. Thin air became thick enough to breathe. Humans shared their art, their stories, their music. Both species seemed to benefit from the friendship. So Young Kim published papers about Kelrani biology that won awards across Earth. She learned how their crystal bodies worked, how they lived for thousands of years, how they saw light in ways humans never could. "They're so peaceful," she told reporters. They've never fought a war in their entire history. They solve all problems through talking and cooperation. Taemin Lee relaxed for the first time in years. Earth's small military force, just a few ships for asteroid mining and space station protection, seemed more than enough. With friends like the Kelrani who needed weapons, he started planning to convert military bases into research centers. But sometimes late at night, Hyunwoo received messages that made him think. They came from deep space monitoring stations, encrypted in codes only a few people knew. The messages were always brief. Status unchanged. Monitoring continues. No threats detected. He never mentioned these messages to Ambassador Veltar. They were marked with the highest security levels, far above anything the Coalition had clearance to see. When Veltar asked about Earth's communication networks, Hyunwoo always changed the subject. We're still learning about your technology, Hyunwoo would say. Perhaps when we know more, we can share more. 6 months after first contact, Earth was a different world. Clean energy powered every city. New medicines saved millions of lives. Mars bloomed with life. Children grew up knowing they were part of a vast galactic community. Ambassador Veltar often walked through human cities, his crystal form amazing crowds wherever he went. He visited schools and talked to children about the galaxy. He toured museums and learned about human history. He seemed especially interested in military museums and old defense installations. These weapons are quite primitive, he mentioned to Hyunwoo during a visit to a historical military base. Your early space defense systems must have been very basic. Yes. We've always been more interested in exploration than fighting, Hyunwoo replied smoothly. I'm curious about your current defense capabilities. For Coalition records, you understand. We like to know how each member species protects itself. Hyunwoo gestured to the small ships visible in Earth's orbit. As you can see, we're not a very military people. A few patrol ships, some asteroid miners converted for security, nothing that would interest the Coalition. Veltar nodded, but his crystal body flickered in that way it did when he was thinking hard. That night, Hyunwoo sat alone in his office looking at Earth below. City lights sparkled like stars. On Mars, new human settlements glowed in the darkness. Everything looked peaceful and perfect. His communication device chimed softly. Another encrypted message from deep space. All stations report normal. The vigil continues. Awaiting orders. Hyunwoo deleted the message and returned to his work. Ambassador Veltar was right. The future was what mattered most. And Earth's future looked brighter than ever, as long as certain secrets stayed hidden in the dark between the stars. Kang Hoseo sat deep underground in a facility that didn't appear on any public maps. The hidden base in New Busan monitored communications from across the galaxy. Screens surrounded him, showing data streams from sources the Kelrani knew nothing about. As Earth's intelligence chief, Kang Ho saw patterns that worried him. Sir, we're picking up more Coalition fleet movements, said his assistant, Dian Yoon. She was young but brilliant with computers. Her fingers flew across keyboards as she decoded alien transmissions. 3 more species just had their defense fleets peacefully integrated into Coalition forces. Kang Ho frowned at the data. In just the past month, the Coalition had convinced 3 different alien races to give up their military ships. The official reason was always the same. Peaceful species. Don't need weapons, but something about the pattern bothered him. Show me the integration timeline again, he said. Dayun brought up charts on the main screen. Look at this, sir. The Thylorian Empire gave up their fleet after 18 months in the Coalition. The Zephyrin Republic did it after 2 years. The Mordak clans lasted only 8 months before integration. What's the average? Kang Ho asked. Across all Coalition members, the average time between joining and military integration is 14 months. Every single species follows the same pattern. Kang Ho leaned back in his chair. 847 species, all following the exact same pattern, all giving up their ability to defend themselves within 2 years of joining the peaceful Coalition. It seemed too organized for a collection of independent decisions. Above ground, life on Earth continued its golden age. Hadria Jin, a scientist who studied alien cultures, worked in the new Galactic Study Center in Seoul. She spent her days reading Coalition historical records, learning about hundreds of different alien civilizations. But the more she read, the more questions she had. Professor Kim, look at this, she said to her colleague. She pointed at data on her computer screen. I've been studying Coalition expansion patterns. They say they've been growing slowly for 2,000 years, but the math doesn't work. Her colleague looked over her shoulder. What do you mean? If they really invited species one at a time, with years of careful consideration, they couldn't have reached 847 members. The timeline is impossible unless they were expanding much faster than their records claim. Hyejin had spent weeks cross-referencing dates and membership records. The coalition's official history said they carefully evaluated each species for decades before offering membership. But when she calculated the actual numbers, they would need to be adding multiple species every year to reach their current size. Maybe their record-keeping isn't perfect, her colleague suggested, or maybe they're not telling the complete truth about their expansion methods. Hyejin replied quietly. She decided to dig deeper. That evening, she took her findings to Minho Jung, who led Earth's Security Council. Minho had been suspicious of the coalition from the beginning, though he kept his concerns private. You're right to question this, Minho told her after reviewing her research. I've been tracking similar inconsistencies. Have you noticed anything about species that refused to join the coalition? Refused? The records don't mention any species refusing membership. Exactly. In 2,000 years, with 847 invitations, not a single species said no. What are the odds of that? Hyejin felt a chill run down her spine. She had been so excited about the scientific possibilities that she hadn't considered the political implications. What happened to species that didn't want to join the peaceful coalition? Meanwhile, Da Yun was having her own disturbing discoveries. Her job was to monitor all electronic communications to and from Earth. Most of it was routine: trade negotiations, cultural exchanges, scientific collaborations. But some of the Kelrani communications used encryption that wasn't meant for human eyes. She shouldn't have been able to break their codes. But Da-un had always been exceptional with computer systems. She had built custom programs that could find patterns in alien encryption. When she finally decoded a series of messages between Ambassador Veltar and someone called High Command, her blood went cold. The humans continue to hide significant data about their capabilities, read one message. Surface scans show minimal defensive infrastructure. Their fleet appears limited to civilian vessels with basic modifications. Phase 2 integration should proceed ahead of schedule. Another message was even more concerning. Human cooperation exceeds projections. They seem eager to please and remarkably trusting. Recommend accelerated timeline for military assessment and integration protocols. Da-Yun stared at the screen for a long time. Integration protocols. The same phrase appeared in files about other coalition species. She cross-referenced the term and found dozens of technical documents about removing military capabilities from new member species. She printed the messages and took them directly to Kang Ho Seo. "Sir, I think we have a problem," she said, placing the papers on his desk. Kang Ho read through the intercepted communications twice. His expression grew darker with each line. "How certain are you about these translations?" 98% confident, sir. I've run them through 3 different programs and consulted our linguistic databases. The meaning is clear. That night, Kang Ho called an emergency meeting with Minho Jung and 3 other security officials. They met in a shielded room deep underground, where no electronic signals could enter or leave. "The situation is worse than we thought," Kang Ho began. He shared Da-un's intercepted messages and Hyejin's research about coalition expansion patterns. "They're not the peaceful alliance they claim to be." Minho nodded grimly. "I've been in contact with Admiral Wanjun Bei. He's been asking questions about our ceremonial space fleet. The Kelrani seem very interested in our defensive capabilities." Wanjun Bei commanded what the coalition believed was Earth's entire military force and a small collection of ships that patrolled Earth's solar system. To outside observers, the fleet looked like basic security vessels operated by a peaceful species. But Wanjun knew better. He had received increasingly specific questions from Kelrani military advisors about Earth ship capabilities, weapon systems, and defensive installations. They claimed it was for standard coalition security assessments. But their questions went far beyond what allies should need to know. "They want detailed schematics of our ships," Wanjun reported during the secret meeting. "They're asking about our manufacturing capabilities, our resource extraction methods, even our population distribution across different planets. It feels less like cooperation and more like intelligence gathering." The group discussed their options. They could confront Ambassador Veltar directly, but that might reveal how much they knew about coalition methods. They could withdraw from the coalition, but that might trigger whatever integration protocols the Kelrani had planned. There's something else, Minho said.
I've been authorized to tell you about certain defensive measures that have been in place since before the coalition arrived.
Earth's protection doesn't depend on the ships the Kelrani can see. He pulled out a sealed envelope marked with symbols none of them recognized. These orders came from someone with authority I can't question. If the coalition threatens Earth, I'm supposed to send a specific message to coordinates in deep space. Kang Ho studied the mysterious orders.
Deep space coordinates?
Who would be out there? I don't know. But whoever wrote these orders knew about the coalition threat before first contact happened. They knew we would need backup plans. As the meeting ended, each person left with new responsibilities. Hyjin would continue researching coalition history, looking for patterns in how they dealt with resistant species. Dayun would monitor Kelrani communications more carefully, watching for signs of escalation. Jun would prepare Earth's visible fleet for potential conflict while maintaining the appearance of cooperation, and Minho would investigate the mysterious deep space coordinates in his sealed orders. 3 days later, Ambassador Veltar made an unexpected request. He wanted to visit Earth's historical military sites and examine decommissioned defense networks for a coalition cultural study about how peaceful species evolved beyond warfare. Hyunwoo received the request during his morning briefing. He maintained his diplomatic smile, but inside he felt the same warning feeling he'd experienced before. The Kelrani were becoming more direct in their inquiries about human military capabilities. Of course, Ambassador, Hyunwoo replied, though I should mention that most of our old military sites are quite boring. We've converted them to museums and research centers. I doubt they would provide much information for your study. Nevertheless, I would find them quite educational, Veltar insisted. His crystal form flickered in that way that suggested deep thought. Perhaps we could start with your planetary defense grid. Our what? Hyunwoo asked, genuinely confused. Surely a species with space travel has some method of protecting their home world from asteroids or hostile visitors. Hyunwoo gestured toward the window where Earth's small patrol fleet was visible. Our ships handle asteroid mining and basic security. We've never needed anything more complex. Veltar's crystal body pulsed slowly. The truth began to unravel on what should have been a simple cultural exchange. Sujin Kang, Earth's head archaeologist, was leading a group of Kelrani visitors through the Mars Historical Museum. The museum showcased human achievements in terraforming and space colonization. It was meant to be a celebration of peaceful progress. Ambassador Veltar moved through the exhibits with his usual careful attention. His crystal form shifted colors as he examined artifacts from Mars's transformation. The museum told the story of how humans and Kelrani had worked together to turn a dead world into a garden. Fascinating, Veltar said, pausing at a display of Martian rocks. These samples show the planet's condition before terraforming began. Sujin nodded proudly. Mars was completely lifeless when we arrived. Just rock and dust. The Kelrani technology helped us create the atmosphere you see today. But Veltar's attention focused on something unexpected. His crystalline head tilted as he studied scorch marks on one of the ancient rock samples. The marks looked like they had been made by intense heat, the kind that came from energy weapons. These burn patterns, Veltar said slowly. They appear to predate your arrival on Mars by several million years. Sujin felt her stomach drop. She looked at the rock display more carefully. That must be from natural phenomena. Meteorite impacts, perhaps. Veltar's form pulsed with analytical light. His species had advanced scientific equipment built into their crystal bodies. No, these energy signatures match the output of your current human weapons technology. But according to your records, humans only developed such weapons recently. Bo Young Lim, the museum's director, quickly stepped forward. Ambassador, perhaps we should move on to the next exhibit. We have a wonderful display about agricultural development. But Veltar wasn't finished. His crystal form darkened as he processed the implications. How is it possible for ancient Martian rocks to show damage from modern human weapons? Sujin tried to think of an explanation that would satisfy the alien ambassador. But the evidence was right there in the display case. Someone had used advanced energy weapons on Mars millions of years before humans were supposed to have developed space travel. Perhaps there was some contamination. In the samples, she suggested weakly. Beltar's response was calm but determined. I would like to examine more geological samples from Mars and from Earth. For my cultural study, you understand. That evening, Veltar worked alone in his quarters aboard the Coalition ship. He accessed human historical databases with the permissions Earth had granted him. Most of the information was freely available, but as he dug deeper, he found strange gaps in the records. Human civilization supposedly began about 10,000 years ago. But carbon dating on various human artifacts showed much older dates that Earth's historians dismissed as errors or misinterpretations. Space travel technology appeared in human records only a few hundred years ago, yet archaeological evidence suggested humans had been visiting other planets for much longer. The pattern became clearer when Veltar examined Earth's geological record. He found traces of industrial activity that predated official human history by tens of thousands of years. Mining operations on asteroids showed tool marks that matched current human technology, but the asteroid samples were far older than humans claimed to have left Earth. Most puzzling of all were the gaps themselves. Large sections of human historical records were simply missing or classified beyond Coalition access levels. For a species supposedly taking their first steps into galactic politics, humans maintained remarkably tight security over their past. The next morning, Ambassador Veltar requested a private meeting with Hyunwoo Park. They met in the diplomatic quarters of New Seoul Station, surrounded by the peaceful view of Earth below. Hyunwoo, I must ask you some direct questions about human history, Veltar began. His crystal form had a serious, almost sad quality to it. Of course, Ambassador. What would you like to know? Your species' true age, the real timeline of your technological development, and why your historical records contain so many classified sections. Hyunwoo maintained his diplomatic smile, but inside he felt the careful balance of months shifting. I'm not sure what you mean. Human history is well documented and freely available. Is it? Veltar activated a holographic display showing various pieces of evidence. Carbon dating results, geological samples, astronomical data. Your official records claim humanity achieved spaceflight 300 years ago. But I have evidence of human activity on 17 different worlds dating back 50,000 years. The evidence was overwhelming. Tool marks on asteroids, mining residue on distant moons, even fragments of human-made materials in the cores of long-dead space stations. Someone had been very busy in this solar system for a very long time. Where did this evidence come from? Hyunwoo asked carefully. Coalition survey teams have been cataloging this region of space for 200 years, since long before we made contact with Earth. We assumed the artifacts belonged to an extinct civilization. We never imagined they were human in origin. Hyunwoo realized that the game was changing. The careful deception that Earth had maintained was crumbling under scientific analysis. He made a decision that would alter the course of human-alien relations forever. Ambassador, I need to consult with my superiors. Some information requires higher authorization to share. Higher than diplomatic contact with an alien species? Much higher. That night, Hyunwoo called an emergency session with Earth's Leadership Council. He explained Veltar's discoveries and the impossibility of maintaining their cover story much longer. The council included people who had been planning for this moment since before first contact. Seung-hwan Park, Earth's head of historical archives, was one of the few people who knew the complete truth about human civilization. He had spent his career managing the delicate balance between revealed history and hidden reality. The Coalition will discover our real timeline eventually, Seung-hwan said during the closed council meeting. Their technology is too advanced and they're too thorough. We can either control how they learn the truth or wait for them to uncover it themselves. What are the risks of full disclosure? Asked Min Ho-jung, unknown. The Coalition has never encountered a species like us. Every other member was genuinely young and peaceful when they joined. We're neither. The council debated through the night. Some argued for maintaining the deception as long as possible. Others worried that discovery without explanation would make humans look deceptive and potentially hostile. But one fact dominated all discussions. The Coalition was going to learn the truth whether humans cooperated or not. In the end, Seung-hwan Park made the decision that changed everything. The next morning, he requested a formal session with all Coalition representatives on Earth. The meeting took place in the Great Assembly Hall of New Seoul Station. Ambassador Veltar attended along with representatives from a dozen other coalition species. They expected a routine diplomatic discussion about cultural exchange programs. Instead, Seonghwan Park began with words that stunned them all. Representatives of the Galactic Prosperity Coalition, we have not been entirely honest about human history. We are not a young species taking our first steps into space. We are the survivors of our own ambitions. The alien representatives sat in shocked silence as Seonghwan continued. Human civilization is not 10,000 years old. It is not even 50,000 years old. We have been a spacefaring species for longer than most coalition members have existed. We built an interstellar civilization, fought galaxy-spanning wars, and ultimately won them all. Veltar's crystal form flickered rapidly as he processed this information. That's impossible. We have records of galactic history going back millions of years. There's no evidence of a human empire. Because we erased it, Seonghwan replied simply. After our last great war, we made a collective decision. We would withdraw from galactic affairs, hide our presence, and let the galaxy develop without our interference. We've been watching from the shadows ever since. Yeonsu Han, Earth's quantum physicist, stepped forward to provide the technical explanation. We didn't just hide ourselves physically. We used advanced technology to remove evidence of our civilization from galactic databases, astronomical records, even the light signatures of our battles. As far as the universe is concerned, human space-age civilization began a few hundred years ago. The coalition representatives struggled to understand the implications. If humans had been spacefaring for tens of thousands of years, their technology would be far more advanced than anyone realized. Their understanding of galactic politics would be vast. Their military capabilities would be... Why did you hide this from us? Veltar asked. Yunwoo answered with words that chilled every alien in the room. Because the last time we didn't hide, we accidentally conquered half the galaxy trying to defend ourselves. The room fell completely silent. Every coalition representative understood the meaning behind those words. Humanity hadn't withdrawn from galactic affairs because they were peaceful. They had withdrawn because they were too powerful for the galaxy's own good. What happened to make you withdraw? Asked a Thylorian representative. Seonghwan accessed historical records that had been sealed for millennia. The revelation about humanity's true age was just the beginning. Junho Moon, director of Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Network, had been authorized to reveal the galaxy's greatest secret. In a secured conference room deep beneath New Seoul, he faced the assembled coalition representatives with data that would change their understanding of everything. You want to know what humanity has been doing for 50,000 years? Junho asked. We've been protecting this galaxy from threats you never knew existed. He activated holographic displays showing the darkest regions of space. Allow me to introduce you to the Phantom Armada. The first image showed what looked like empty space near Proxima Centauri. But as Junho adjusted the display settings, a massive shape began to appear. It was a ship, but calling it a ship was like calling a mountain a rock. The vessel stretched for kilometers, its dark hull reflecting no light. This is the Silent Thunder, commanded by Captain Yoon-jae Shin. It has been patrolling this sector for 300 years. Junho touched another control. Computer, send decloak authorization to Silent Thunder. Light years away, Captain Yoon-jae Shin received the signal she had waited centuries to hear. Her ship's ancient cloaking systems powered down for the first time in decades. The Silent Thunder materialized in space like a sleeping giant opening its eyes. Ambassador Veltar's crystal form pulsed with shock. Coalition sensors throughout the sector suddenly detected a massive energy signature that hadn't existed moments before. The ship was larger than most coalition space stations and radiated power levels that defied their understanding of physics. How is this possible? Veltar whispered. Captain Shin, please report, Junho said into his communicator. A holographic image appeared in the conference room. It showed a woman who looked to be in her 30s, though her eyes held the weight of centuries. She wore a uniform that was functional rather than decorative, marked with symbols that predated any known human government. Reporting as ordered, Director Moon, Captain Shin said. Her voice was calm, but carried an authority that made even the alien representatives pay attention. Silent Thunder is at full operational status. All systems nominal. Current patrol area secure. Captain, please brief our coalition guests on your mission parameters. Captain Shin's expression didn't change, but her next words sent chills through every alien in the room. Silent Thunder is assigned to eliminate any threat to galactic stability in Sectors 7 through 12. We have been on patrol for 237 years. During that time, we have neutralized 14 potential civilization killers before they could achieve spaceflight. The Coalition representatives exchanged looks of horror. 14 civilizations destroyed before they could leave their home planets, by humans acting alone without any authority or oversight. What kind of threats? Asked the Thylorian representative. Dong Wook Yu, Earth's military historian, stepped forward with classified files. Species whose development patterns matched historical galactic tyrants. Civilizations that showed signs of becoming like the Devourers, aggressive expansionist with technology focused entirely on conquest and consumption. He displayed images from across the galaxy, dead worlds that Coalition surveys had marked as victims of natural disasters. The Kethmar of Rigel 7. They had developed planet-killing weapons and were planning to test them on inhabited worlds. Silent Thunder eliminated them 3,000 years ago. Another image appeared. The Vorgak Empire in the Andromeda sector. They were enslaving entire species and turning them into biological weapons. The Phantom Fleet removed them before they could spread beyond their home system. You committed genocide, Veltar said, his voice barely a whisper. We prevented genocide, Captain Shin replied firmly from her hologram. Every species we eliminated would have destroyed hundreds of others. We don't make these decisions lightly. Each operation requires approval from deep command and analysis by our prediction algorithms. Junho continued the briefing. Silent Thunder is just one ship in the Phantom Armada. We currently maintain 12,000 vessels scattered across this galaxy. Each one is capable of sterilizing entire star systems. Each one is crewed by humans who chose exile over retirement. The scope of the revelation was staggering. 12,000 ships hidden throughout the galaxy for millennia. Each one more powerful than anything the Coalition had ever built. Each one operated by humans who had dedicated their lives to protecting civilizations that didn't even know they existed. Show them the Deep Fleet archives, Junho said. New holograms appeared showing, ship after ship materializing in the darkness, massive dreadnoughts that had been patrolling for thousands of years, stealth corvettes that could destroy planets without being detected, command ships larger than moons, carrying crews that had been in deep space for longer than most species had recorded history. Ari Park appeared in another hologram. She was the captain of the dreadnought Eternal Vigil, a woman who had spent 5 centuries in the void between stars. Her ship's artificial intelligence kept her in extended stasis between patrol cycles, waking her only when threats emerged. Captain Park, please brief our guests on Deep Fleet protocols, Junho requested. The Eternal Vigil has been operational for 4,700 years, Captain Park reported. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had made decisions that affected entire galaxies. We have eliminated 37 species that showed Devourer-class threat potential. We have prevented 16 galaxy-spanning wars by removing their instigators. We have protected over 2,000 developing civilizations from extinction. The Coalition representatives sat in stunned silence as the true scope of humanity's secret protection became clear. For 50,000 years, humans had been the galaxy's hidden guardians. Every peaceful civilization, every successful species, every moment of galactic harmony existed because the Phantom Armada had eliminated the threats that would have destroyed them. Jin Wu Cha, Earth's xenothreat analyst, brought up the final piece of evidence. We've been protecting this galaxy from itself. Every peaceful civilization you know exists because we eliminated the ones that weren't peaceful. He displayed a galactic map showing threat assessments spanning millennia. Red zones marked where dangerous species had been eliminated. Green zones showed where peaceful civilizations had been allowed to develop naturally. The pattern was clear. The galaxy's peaceful regions existed only where the Phantom Fleet had been active. The Kelrani Empire exists because we eliminated the Shardok raiders who would have enslaved your homeworld 4,000 years ago, Jinwu continued. The Thylorian Republic survived because we prevented the Necro Plague from reaching your space. The Zephyrin Federation developed art and philosophy because we stopped the machine consciousness that would have converted all organic life in your sector into computational resources. Each revelation hit the Coalition representatives like a physical blow. Their entire civilization, their culture, their very existence depended on humanity's hidden protection. Without the Phantom Armada, Most coalition species would never have survived long enough to achieve spaceflight. But now you face a terrible question, said Yu Jin Quan, a Phantom Fleet intelligence officer who had spent 2,000 years analyzing galactic threats. What happens when the Guardians decide that you are the threat? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. The Coalition had been studying human defenses, planning integration protocols, treating humanity as another species to be absorbed into their peaceful empire. But humans weren't peaceful prey. They were apex predators who had been protecting the galaxy for longer than Coalition civilization had existed. Veltar finally found his voice. "Are you threatening us?" "We're informing you," Hyunwoo replied calmly. "The Coalition's expansion patterns match those of 17 previous civilizations that we were forced to eliminate. You absorb species into your collective. You remove their military capabilities. You integrate them into a single unified power structure. We do this peacefully," Veltar protested. "So did the Hegemon Alliance, 12,000 years ago. They created a peaceful empire of 300 species. They eliminated war, unified technology, brought prosperity to everyone under their control." Hyunwoo paused. Then they decided that species outside their alliance were threats to galactic peace. They began forcibly integrating resistant civilizations. Within a century, they were committing genocide against anyone who wouldn't join their peaceful empire. The parallel was clear and terrifying. The Coalition's peaceful expansion could be the beginning of the same pattern that had destroyed previous galactic civilizations. "We don't want to fight you," Captain Shin said from her hologram. "We've been watching the Coalition for 2,000 years. We've seen genuine peace and cooperation alongside troubling expansion patterns. We're still analyzing whether you represent a threat to galactic stability." "And if you decide we are a threat?" Veltar asked. "Then we will do what we have always done," Captain Park replied. "We will protect the galaxy from the threat. Whether that threat comes from mechanical consciousnesses, biological plagues, aggressive empires, or peaceful coalitions that grow too powerful for anyone's good." The briefing ended with a demonstration that no Coalition representative would ever forget. The galaxy held its breath as news of the Phantom Armada spread through Coalition space. Within weeks, every member species knew the truth about humanity's hidden power. The reaction split the peaceful alliance down the middle. Reika Sato arrived at Earth leading the Coalition's largest fleet in 2,000 years. She commanded ships from dozens of species, all united in their demand that humanity submit to Coalition oversight. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. A peaceful alliance threatening war against the species that had made their peace possible. The galaxy cannot tolerate secret military forces operating without oversight, Reika declared during emergency broadcasts. Humanity must either join the Coalition completely, sharing all technology and accepting our authority, or be declared a threat to galactic stability. But even as Coalition fleets gathered around Earth, splits appeared in their unity. Many species began questioning whether they wanted to fight beings who had protected them for millennia. Others wondered if their peaceful coalition was becoming the exact type of aggressive empire that humans had spent 50,000 years opposing. On Earth, humanity faced its most crucial decision since the end of the Devourer War. Kyung-Soo Lee, Earth's new Prime Minister, called for the final council, a gathering that brought together both Earth's leadership and commanders returning from their eternal patrol in the darkness. The meeting took place in a facility that had been built for this moment 50,000 years ago, deep beneath the Himalayas, in chambers that could survive the destruction of continents. Humanity's leaders gathered to decide their species' future. Na-Young Cho entered the chamber like a legend stepping out of history. She was the admiral of the Deep Fleet, a woman who had commanded humanity's hidden forces for 500 years. Her presence alone reminded everyone of the weight of their decision. "The Phantom Armada has 12,000 ships positioned throughout the galaxy," Admiral Cho reported. "Coalition defeat would require approximately 14 hours if we chose that path. But victory would make us everything we've spent 50 millennia trying not to become." The debate that followed would determine the fate of galactic civilization. Some argued for continued secrecy, withdrawing even deeper into the shadows and letting the Coalition collapse under its own contradictions. Others pushed for a demonstration of power that would establish clear boundaries and force the Coalition to respect human authority. Hua Young-Yoon, Earth's ethics advisor, spoke against both options. We cannot remain hidden guardians forever. The galaxy is too connected now, too monitored, but neither can we rule through fear. That would make us the very thing we've been protecting the galaxy from. Gyuri Song, commander of the hidden fortress world New Terra, disagreed. The Coalition threatens everything we've built. They want to absorb us, study us, control us. We should show them exactly why that's impossible. As they debated, Coalition fleets continued massing around Earth. Reika Sato made increasingly aggressive demands. She wanted human technology transferred to Coalition control. She wanted Phantom Fleet commanders to submit to alien oversight. She wanted humanity to accept permanent Coalition monitoring to ensure they never again operated without permission. The deadlock broke when Chan Wu Li, the youngest member of Earth's Council, proposed something unprecedented. At 847 years old, he had spent most of his life in deep space experiencing time dilation that made him technically younger than many Earth leaders. His perspective bridged the gap between ancient wisdom and new possibilities. What if we revealed everything? He asked. Not just the Phantom Armada, but the complete truth about what we've been doing. Every threat we've eliminated, every species we've saved, every technology we've secretly shared to guide peaceful development. The idea was radical beyond imagination. For 50,000 years, humanity had operated in absolute secrecy. Revealing their complete activities would expose methods, technologies, and decisions that could reshape how every species viewed galactic history. Sungmin Bayek, tactical coordinator for the fleet, ran the numbers. If we reveal everything, we lose our ability to operate in secret. We'd have to maintain peace through open cooperation rather than hidden protection. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs, Chan Wu replied. Maybe we've been hiding for so long that we've forgotten how to be partners instead of guardians. The debate reached its climax when news arrived that Coalition forces were preparing to attack. Reika Sato had issued an ultimatum: surrender or face the combined might of 847 species. From her perspective, humanity was a rogue civilization that threatened everything the Coalition represented. As alarms sounded and defense systems activated, Seojun Kim, Earth's philosopher general, stood to address the council. He was old even by human standards, having lived through the original debates about withdrawal 50,000 years ago. I was there when we made the choice to hide, he said quietly. We were afraid of our own power, afraid of what we might become. But fear has shaped our decisions for too long. It's time to make a choice based on hope instead. His proposal stunned everyone present. We reveal ourselves completely, not as conquerors or hidden guardians, but as teachers. We show the galaxy what we've learned about power, responsibility, and the burden of protection. Within hours, every communication system in the galaxy carried the same signal. It was a broadcast from Earth, transmitted simultaneously through human networks that spanned from one edge of the galaxy to the other. The revelation began with words that would be remembered forever. People of the galaxy, we are humanity. For 50,000 years we have been your hidden protectors. Today we choose to be your partners instead. Mi Kyung-oh, humanity's first official galactic ambassador, presented evidence that revolutionized galactic history, complete records of every Phantom Fleet operation, detailed analysis of every threat eliminated, full documentation of technologies secretly shared to guide peaceful development. The broadcast showed the galaxy as it really was, not a collection of species that had independently achieved peace, but a carefully cultivated garden where dangerous elements had been quietly removed before they could spread. Humanity hadn't been ruling the galaxy in secret. They had been nurturing it. Coalition forces stopped their advance as the revelations continued. Species after species learned that their survival depended on human protection they never knew existed. The Kelrani discovered that their crystal-based technology had been subtly enhanced by human innovations, shared through intermediary species. The Thylorians learned that their peaceful philosophy had developed only because humans had eliminated 3 separate attempts to conquer their space. But the most shocking revelation was how human protection had been provided. Rather than ruling directly, humans had influenced galactic development through carefully placed discoveries, subtly shared technologies, and removed threats. They had guided civilizations toward peace without ever letting them know guidance was being provided. Reika Sato's fleet found itself surrounded not by human warships, but by coalition vessels that had turned away from the attack. Species after species withdrew from the assault as they realized they owed their existence to the civilization they had been preparing to fight. The transformation wasn't immediate or simple. Many coalition members struggled to accept that their peaceful civilization had been shaped by human manipulation. Others resented learning that their achievements weren't entirely their own. But as the complete record of galactic history became clear, a new understanding emerged. The galaxy had never been naturally peaceful. It had been protected by guardians who sacrificed their own freedom to ensure others could live in safety. For 50,000 years, humans had paid the price of eternal vigilance so that other species could develop art, philosophy, and cooperation without fear. Within months, the True Galactic Compact was established. Mi-Kyung-oh worked alongside reformed coalition leaders to create something unprecedented, a galactic civilization that was aware of its protectors and chose to partner with them rather than be hidden from them. The Phantom Armada didn't disappear, but it evolved. Jun Young Nam, the new fleet admiral, oversaw the transformation from secret guardians to open peacekeepers. Coalition species volunteered to join crews that had once hunted in darkness. The ships that had operated alone for millennia became mobile academies where human and alien personnel worked together to understand and prevent galactic threats. The new arrangement wasn't perfect. Some species struggled with the knowledge that their peaceful development had been artificially protected. Others resented human authority and formed resistance movements. But for the first time in 50,000 years, humanity was no longer alone in carrying the burden of galactic protection. The integration process took decades. Human technology was gradually shared with species that could handle it responsibly. Phantom fleet vessels became visible centers of learning and cooperation, rather than hidden instruments of judgment. The galaxy learned to govern itself with the knowledge that ancient guardians stood ready to intervene only when absolutely necessary. Years later, Yejin Lim, a young student in the first human Kelrani cultural exchange program, stood on the observation deck of a former Phantom fleet vessel.